The cops didn't expect me to open the door myself. They stood there on my front porch, hands near their belts, telling me the homeowner had called them about a trespasser inside. I stepped aside and let them look me dead in the eye. "You're looking at him," I said. And behind them in my house, the HOA president was upstairs stuffing my jewelry into a tote bag, wearing my bathrobe like she owned the place. My name is Daxon Zimmerman. I'm 32, and last year I sold my tech startup and paid cash for the biggest house on Aldergrove Lane. 3 weeks ago, I left for a business retreat in Switzerland. I told no one except my lawyer and my housekeeper who comes by twice a week. That should have been enough. But when I landed early and pulled up to my house last night, the gate code was changed. A blue sedan sat in the driveway and every instinct told me something was off. I walked in with a spare key I'd hidden in the utility box. What I found looked nothing like my home candles on the counter, half-empty wine glasses, a yoga mat rolled out in the living room. Then I heard it. "Derek, did you get the almond milk?" Her voice froze when she saw me. Zelda Norrington. Middle-aged, sharp bob haircut, HOA president. The same woman who fined me $200 for having a non-compliant mailbox. Only this time, she wasn't holding a citation. She was wrapped in my robe, standing in my living room, acting like I was the intruder. "Why are you in my house?" I asked, calm but sharp. Her answer, "You're not supposed to be home yet." And then she bolted, ran upstairs, slammed the master bedroom door. 10 minutes later, the cops showed up because she called them on me. That's the level of crazy we're talking about. I pulled out my ID, my property deed, everything. The officers hesitated, then searched the place and found her in my closet cramming jewelry into her bag. She claimed the house had been abandoned, foreclosed, and that as HOA president she had a duty to secure it. I almost laughed. Foreclosure. You think the guy who paid in full just abandoned his mansion after 3 weeks? I wanted to believe this was just one woman's delusion, but it wasn't. The next morning I checked the gate cameras she didn't know about. 2 weeks earlier, Zelda had waltzed right in using a contractor's code. Rolling suitcase, little dog under her arm, clipboard in hand like she was leading an inspection. She wasn't alone. 2 other board members followed right behind. They didn't just squat, they took over. And that's when it sank in. This wasn't personal, it was systematic. They'd incorporated a shell company, forged transfer papers, even listed my home for corporate leasing. She wasn't just living in my mansion, she was about to rent it out. And me, I was standing there feeling like an idiot who'd left the front door wide open for thieves in polo shirts and HOA badges. I'll admit I started doubting myself. Maybe I should have told more people I was leaving. Maybe I shouldn't have trusted that a neighborhood like Alder Grove, perfect lawns, white fences, quiet cul-de-sacs, was safe. When I walked around that night, neighbors waved politely like nothing had happened. Were they in on it? Did everyone believe Zelda's story? For a few hours, I thought about walking away, selling the place, cutting my losses. It wasn't worth the fight, not against people who could twist rules until black looked like white. But then I met Detective Monroe. He laid it out. They'd done this before, targeting absentee owners, military families, old couples in assisted living. They called it eminent community claim, a scam that sounded like legalese but was pure fraud. And my lawyer Leela, she showed me the bylaws. They'd been rewriting them for months, forging signatures from board members who had moved out of state. None of it was legal. The turning point came from a neighbor I'd never spoken to. A woman in her late 50s, tough eyes. She told me they'd fined her for letting her disabled nephew visit, called him a nuisance. When she refused to pay, they threatened to cut her gate access. She still had the letters. She'd already sent them to my lawyer along with statements from other residents. That was it. I wasn't the only one. We were all getting squeezed, lied to, intimidated. If I quit, they'd keep going. So we fought back. Leela filed cease and desist letters. Monroe dug deeper, pulled forged insurance claims, bogus inspections. Rental contracts signed under the Shell LLC. The HOA wasn't just corrupt, it was organized crime in cardigans. And the residents, they were angry, tired of being bullied. Together, we planned a town hall. Over 200 people showed up, some furious, some confused. I stood in the back while Leela projected every document on a giant screen, fake signatures, financial records, even emails where Zelda and her crew joked about which homeowners wouldn't notice they were gone. When Leela finished, the room was silent. Then someone clapped. Then more. By the end, the entire hall was on its feet. That night, the HOA board was dissolved with a 93% vote. But the real battle was in court. Zelda sat at the defense table, beige blazer, trying to look respectable. Her lawyer claimed she'd acted out of community duty, that she misunderstood property law. It might have worked if we hadn't had mountains of evidence. Monroe testified about the forged documents, the rental contracts, the insurance fraud. The locksmith explained how he was tricked into rekeying my locks. The IT contractor described installing network equipment while Zelda hovered with coffee and fake authority. And then came the bombshell insurance fraud targeting elderly residents, one of whom had died before ever seeing a dime. Zelda's signature on 6 separate claim forms. The courtroom erupted, gasps echoing against wood paneling. The judge didn't even call for silence. He just leaned back, eyes fixed on her like he'd already decided where this was going. By the time court adjourned, her defense had collapsed. She was ordered into confinement, bail denied after investigators found she'd tried transferring funds offshore. Her allies, Alan and Marcy, resigned in disgrace. Vic, the shady paralegal, was buried by his own email trail. Every lock in my house was replaced, security systems upgraded. Not because I was scared, because I wanted them to know this door will never open for you again. And that's where it ended. Zelda, trembling in her seat, watching her empire of fines and fake bylaws crumble in public. Me finally breathing without that gnawing doubt in the back of my mind. They'd built a machine out of apathy and paperwork, and for a while it almost worked. But not this time. The lesson: silence is the currency of corruption, and the only way to break it is to speak louder.